All right, so again, I'm Holly Ferguson. Rally is my passion, and I'm here to help you take your rally training and performance to a better level, I hope. Now that the COVID vaccine is available, I'm also starting to take bookings for in-person seminars. So if you have a club or a facility that would like to have a live in-person seminar, I would love to do that. I'm very inexpensive because I really just like to travel and meet people, and I love to get my hands on the dogs. So, but in a nice way, because everything I do is positive. Let's see. So the techniques that I'm going to be showing you tonight, and the techniques that I use, are ones that I have found to be very effective in training dogs to be really good performers. So there's a lot of different ways to train. This isn't the only way, and I understand that, but I'm putting this out here for you. So hopefully you can find a few things to take from it to use to make your training and your performances better when you're in the rally ring. My philosophy is that rally should be fun. I think all of us have that philosophy. That's why we're doing rally. But I think the way to have fun doing rally is to have a really well-trained dog, because those are the dogs that are having fun in the ring. If your dog is uncertain, if it's confused, if it's distracted, it's not really having a fun time in the ring. It's looking around. It's not performing quickly. It's not responding quickly. And you're probably getting frustrated. And so you're probably not having a good time in the ring. And I know everybody gets out of the ring with the best dog and they love the process, but really, if you want to have fun, you're going to have a well-trained dog. And one of my goals is to show people how easy and fun it is to have a well-trained dog. We don't have to use harsh methods. We don't have to overtrain our dogs. We don't have to do anything negative at all to have a very well-trained dog. And I think everybody will find that their time in the ring is just that much more enjoyable. All right. So, luring is illegal in AKC rally. Probably others, like I'm actually a WCRL judge, but I can't remember right now. I should have looked it up, but I usually focus on AKC for all of this. It is a substantial deduction, 6 to 10 points. And it could be easy if the judge is really picky and doesn't like luring. It would be easy for you to NQ just on luring alone. A lot of judges aren't picky about luring. So a lot of people can get away with it, but then when you show up and there is a judge that's picky, you may NQ or just have a really low score because of it. But that's not why I want you to lose the lure. I want you to lose the lure because you're going to have a better trained dog, and you're going to have a lot more fun, and your scores are going to go up. So that's why I want you to lose the lure. Dogs who are fully trained are confident, engaged, they're happy. And one of the problems with the lure is that it's a training method. And when I say lure, I'm also including targeting in there. Let me make sure I don't have any people in the waiting room. Okay, I'm also talking about targeting because targeting, to a certain extent, is kind of the same concept, just a little bit different. So they're both training tools. So that means when you walk into the ring, your dog is not as trained as he could be. So I find a lot of people use luring as a crutch. They're not sure what to do to get to the next level, so they fall back on something that appears to be pretty easy. So that hand goes down, jiggles a little bit, you're helping the dog around the outside turn, things like that. And so it's kind of a crutch, but it's time to start having faith in your dog, knowing that your dog can perform without that lure, and have faith in yourself that you can train your dog to be really well trained and not need a lure. So sustained luring is very difficult for a dog. So if you have that delicious smelling treat in your hand, in training, it doesn't appear to be all that difficult because any of us can follow around like, a warm brownie. That's not hard. But when you're in the ring and you don't actually have that treat in your hand, you're asking your dog for 2 minutes to focus on something. The same thing for 2 minutes. Think about if somebody told you to look at a doorknob for 2 minutes. It would be really, really difficult. You're not giving your dog an opportunity to focus, to be engaged, to be involved in different behaviors. They're just kind of looking at that hand, following that hand around. And that's very difficult for them. So let's see. So after the initial training with the luring or the target, it's time to shape the behavior so that you can move that lure away, so that you don't have to have your hand anywhere near a dog. My definition of luring is steering your dog around with your hand. Now, it can be an open hand. It can be like this, which is really illegal. Like almost everybody's going to call that out. But it can be like up here, as if that hand is doing the same movement that you want your dog to do. It's basically a lure. So, so we want to shape the behaviors so that our hand doesn't have to be in front of the dog. I use luring a lot. Every down I've ever taught a dog, I've lured. We're going to do 3 exercises tonight for the outside turn that basically it's the first 2 are luring. And so it's valid. It's a good tool, but we want to move away from it. So the difference between a signal, which which is a body movement, usually a hand movement, and a lure is that the signal acts as a word that tells the dog what to do. A lure gives the dog something to follow, but a signal tells the dog what to do. So the dog has to know what to do. He doesn't just have to follow the lure around. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the same movement. So it can be. When I do the sit command, my hand comes up. Let me stand up and show you real quick. So when I do sit, my hand comes up, which of course we want the dog's head to come up when they go into a sit. So the difference between that movement as a signal and luring is I can be 60 feet away from my dog and I can give that signal and she's going to sit. But it doesn't necessarily have to be. So I know everybody's seen like people in the obedience ring doing down, the drop on recall, doing a down like that. So the dog's going down, but the signal's going up. The point is, both times, the signal has a meaning for a behavior. It's not a movement for the dog. It's like ASL. It's a sign that has a meaning to it. And words only have meanings to dogs if there is a behavior attached to it, some type of movement. They don't understand abstract language, so there has to be something that they have to do in order for that word to have meaning. So let's see. All right. Any questions? Any comments before we move forward? Kind of hoping, not, we still have 10 minutes. Everybody's good? I can't see you at all, so because I'm looking at the camera. So if you have something that you'd like to write or want to ask a question, you need to speak up. You need to unmute and you need to speak up so I can hear you. All right. We're going to address losing the lure on 4 behaviors today. I mean, there's a lot more to it than what we're going to do in this short mini seminar, but these 4 behaviors give you the most rally bang for the training buck. So there are 4 simple things that you can do that I think is going to make the biggest difference in the rally ring for you. So the first one we're going to talk about is the auto sit. When you halt, you should not have to signal or tell your dog to sit at all. The behavior for a halt is to stop and sit. The only time you should be saying anything to your dog when you stop because that's the signal for sitting, is if you want your dog to stand or down. But if your dog is just halting, it should be part of the behavior, and it shouldn't require a separate command. So with an auto sit, hold on, let me get up and show you. All right. So as you're walking along with your dog to teach the auto sit, all you're going to do, sorry, I've got elastic on the bottom of my pants, is you're going to do what I call the shuffle, which is 3 steps that get shorter and shorter. So I start back here, heel, I take a couple of big steps, and then I take some small steps. It's a very natural movement for human beings. If we stop suddenly, we fall forward. So whenever we stop, if we're not thinking about it, we're going to make our steps smaller and smaller. So that's going to be the signal for your dog to sit. So as you do this exercise, you're going to start in a heel, take a few normal steps, and then do this little shuffle, and then just look down at your dog. Here, I'll do it this way. So just look down at your dog. Kind of put that pressure on him, like you know what to do. You don't have to say anything. Just look at your dog. When your dog sits, no matter how long it takes, no matter what position your dog is in, you're going to say, good dog, and reward. You can work on shaping response time and position later on, but just having a dog that sits immediately when you stop in the rally ring is going to shave points off. It's going to have a dog that looks at you every time you start to do that little shuffle. It's going to realize that something's coming up and it's going to have to sit. So there are two jobs in the ring, only 2 jobs in the ring. One is leading, the other is following. So basically you're leading your dog and your dog is following. And so when you stop, your dog knows he has to look at you, he has to pay attention to you, he needs to sit. And the more that you reward that behavior of sitting without saying anything, the more quickly your dog is going to sit. And if you want to shape that response time faster, it's just like anything else. You set a criteria. So let's say the first time you do it, your dog's thoroughly confused, and you stop and you wait. You're looking down at your dog and you're waiting. And it may take 3 minutes for your dog to sit. I can guarantee your dog will sit because that's kind of their default behavior. And when nothing's going on, they're going to be like, oh, okay, sit down and look at her. So even if it takes as much as 3 minutes, you're just going to wait it out. When the dog finally sits, good dog. And after a few days, you're going to find the dog is sitting like within 30 seconds. But then you're not going to reward anything that takes longer than 30 seconds. So for the next few days, any sit that's 30 seconds or shorter gets a reward. And then you're going to cut that in half. And you're going to make it 15 seconds. The dog has to respond within 15 seconds to get that treat. And then after a few days, after the dog seems to get this idea that it needs to respond within 15 seconds, you're going to cut it down to 10, and then 5, and then 3, and then 1. And then it's only going to be an immediate response that's going to get the treat. So that's how you get an automatic sit. The more you have to do to get your dog to sit, the less your dog is going to be paying attention to you. Okay, because you're doing his work for him. So the dog should be paying attention to you, and the dog should be sitting when you stop. So you don't want to do your work for the dog, because then your dog doesn't have a job, because you're doing the dog's job. And then if you're doing the dog's job, you're not doing your job, which is leading. You are the leader. You can read the signs, you know the rules, and you can hold the leash. So you have to be the leader. There's no other way that can be. So this is a way to get the dog focused on you and paying attention to you and realizing that when you stop, he has to sit. All right, any questions about that? No, everybody's good? Okay. Oh, okay. The next one is the down. One of my pet peeves is people taking the down signal all the way to the ground. And sometimes it's not just luring. sometimes that's just the signal, like a lure. So, hold on. Oops, sorry. If you go to do a lure with the down, like, you know, you're gonna be like right in front of the dog's face and going down. But some people just like signal their dog all the way down. I don't think anybody wants their butt up in the air in the rally ring. And it's so easy to just get rid of that signal that goes all the way down. So what I do is a sequence. And if your dog is used to going all the way, you're used to a signal going all the way down, we're going to slowly back off on that. So you can either do it on the side or you can do it in the front. I always like to start in the front because the body language is forward. And I think it, hold on, somebody just showed up. I think it helps the dog to realize that you mean it, that you're there, that you mean it. A little bit harder for them to just like blow you off. So the first part of the exercise is having your dog sit. I always like to start in a sit, though you don't have to. If you haven't taught your dog, if you've taught your dog to sit from down from a stand, you can definitely do this from a stand position. I like sit. So, and then I take the treat in between my fingers, all right, which is why I know when people are doing this and they're like, I'm not luring. I know that in training, they've got the treat right there and it's just as much of a lure as this is. So got the treat between my fingers, down, I take it all the way down, and I wait for the dog to go down, and then I release the treat. Next time, it's sit. I go down to just above my ankle. I'm keeping my hand in front of me. I don't want to push into the dog. I definitely don't want to pull out, because if you teach a dog to come forward like that, they move out of position when they have to down and heel position. I just take that treat straight down so the shoulders go straight down. So I stop right about there and I just wait. When the dog goes down, I release the treat. Usually at that point, you still have a dog who gets what you're doing. May not be going all the way to the ground, but they get it. So they don't have to move away from that treat yet. The next step, and these are literally just one right after the other, tell the dog to sit, and then I go kind of like below my knee, and I wait right there until the dog downs. I just look at the dog, and I just wait. Now, big dogs, that one's not harder either, because they can still reach up. They can be in a full down, and they can reach up with their mouth on that treat still. So that's a little bit easier, but the little dogs, at this point, are going to have to start moving away from the treat in order to get the treat. That's totally opposite of what dogs are hardwired to do, right? That prey drive, what's that prey drive all about? I have to run after my food. So now we're telling the dogs, you need to leave the food in order to get the food. So it's sometimes really difficult for them. And a lot of times they'll start to go down, and when they get to the point where they can't have their mouth on that treat or their nose on that treat anymore, they may just kind of get confused. They might get up again, just keep holding it. They might look at the treat for a while and then look at you and then look at the treat. I can't tell you how many times that has happened when I've done this with dogs, where they get to the point where they have to move away from the treat. And then eventually they have to think what they did to get the treat the last time, and it's a down. So you're going to hold it. If you have a little dog, this is the part that's going to be difficult. If you have a big dog, they're still going to have their mouth on that treat. You're going to wait for them to go down. Good dog, and you're going to reward. Okay. The next time, you're going to call them up, sit or stand, depending on what you're doing. You're going to go just a little bit. I'm hardly bending at all right here. Okay, my hand is directly out in front of me. Same thing. I'm not pushing it, not pulling it back. It's just down, right straight out in front of me. And I'm waiting for the dog to down. Okay, once the dog downs, could be 5-10 minutes. That's happened many, many times. Record for the down for us is 120 minutes, 1 hour and 20 minutes for a down at this point. But that was a dog with severe issues. So don't worry, your dog's not going to do that. And then you're going to reach down and give them the treat. We don't want them to come up to get the treat. We want to reward that down position. And then the next time, you're just sit, down. Okay, I'm not bent at my waist at all. I'm not moving forward. I'm very upright. My hand is in front of me. So I'm not doing the down signal over here. I'm doing the down signal over here. If you are doing it in heel position, the down signal is going to be over here. I don't want the dog to move forward. I don't want the dog to come to the right side. So the down signal is in front, in the middle, and I just wait for that dog to down. If you have a dog who doesn't know this, the dog will have to be on a short leash because they're going to get tired of trying to figure out how to get that treat. Nope, I'm gonna let somebody else in. And they're going to try to walk away. But it's not because they're upset. It's not because they're shutting down. It's because you've made getting that treat harder than what they think the treat is worth. But if you just stand there and wait, they will all eventually go down. And so you do that series of exercises a couple times a day for about a week, and then you never go back to luring all the way down. And as with the auto sig, if that last down takes a long time, you just mold that response time until it's quicker and quicker and quicker and immediate. All right. Any questions about down? So I don't want to see anybody who's here tonight ever in the ring with their butt up in the air again, because it's not pleasant. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are. I'm just saying, standing bent over like that is just not pleasant. All right. Yes. Oh, okay. I am going to pause the recording and we're just going to take a little bit of, and I'm going to answer that question again. So Joan asked, why does the down signal go from pointing down to an arm up in the air for obedience in the down on recall? And my feeling is that this is easier to see in a field with the dog running towards you from a great distance. But in the rally ring, it really doesn't matter. I mean, you could do it, but it doesn't matter. My dog does both, although no, my dog does it forward as opposed to up, but I actually prefer voice for my dog on the drop on recall. So, okay. All right. The next behavior we're going to work on is just a straight heel. So dogs respond really, really well to body language. And one of the things when you're luring a heel where you don't have that treat, well, a couple of things. First is you put their hand in front of their face with no treat in it. If you go up to somebody and do that, what are they going to do? They're going to stop. It's going to slow your dog down. Or the dog's going to get annoyed because the same thing, put your hand in somebody's face over and over again. And they are eventually going to turn away. The other thing is it changes your body posture. So especially if you've done like obedience, so much work is done on how your body moves. If you are turning that shoulder down, facing your dog, you're basically telling the dog with your body language is slow down, move away from me. Okay, because dogs move away from things that are moving towards them, but they move towards things that are moving away from them. So now you've got the stop signal and you've got this move, slow down, move back away, and you're not walking briskly. You're kind of hoping the dog comes along, and I see it time after time. People trying to lure their dog generally don't walk briskly. So if you want your dog to follow you, because dogs move away from things that are moving towards them, dogs move towards things that are moving away from them, you want to walk briskly away from your dog as you're walking. You don't want your body posture to be back this way. You don't want your movement to be pushing your dog away. So the easiest thing in rally is to go from sign to sign. And that's most of the course. So I've got a couple of cones here. I've got a sign here. I've got a, whoops, this cone fell over and you can't even see it. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do what's called targeted walking. I have the dog on a leash. I don't even care about the leash. The leash doesn't matter, but for this exercise, we don't want the dog to run off or anything. The leash is loose, my arm is relaxed. I always say the leash starts up here and ends at the collar. Okay, so there's no tugging on the leash, because what happens when you pull a dog? Opposition reflex, they pull the other way. So we want to relax our arm as much as we can. We're going to pick a visual target. In this case, it's the cone. And we are going to give our dog a command, not necessarily a heel command at this point, because this exercise is for you more than the dog. I want to see people leading from sign to sign. So you're going to pick a visual, which is the cone. I'm going to say, Blitzer, let's go. And I'm going to walk. And after I pass the cone, I'm going to do that little shuffle. And I'm going to wait. Well, you don't even have to wait for the dog to sit for this one. Because what we want to do is show the dog, we're headed this way, come on. All right? It's that simple. The more you lead your dog, the more your dog is going to follow. So I start off about 6 to 8 feet away, and the visuals don't have to be cones. You can go outside, you can walk from tree to tree, you can walk from driveway to driveway. You can walk from one end of the yard to the other. But if you have a visual, your head is forward, your shoulders are forward, and you've got to lead that dog. Your goal is not to make your dog stay in place, because remember, that's you doing the dog's job. Your job is to go from one sign to the other. So this is you practicing your job. Your job is leading. So you're gonna start from one place, you're gonna walk towards that visual. If your dog's with you, go ahead and praise. Oh, good boy, good boy, good boy. And you don't have to look at your dog to know that. Like, you'll know your dog is with you, because he's not going to be pulling your arm. He's just going to be right there. And then after you get 6 to 8 feet and it feels good, make it 10 to 12 feet and keep making it longer and longer, so that your dog learns that when he stays with you as you're walking, he's following while you're leading. At the end is a nice big treat. He's done his job, you've done your job, and he gets the reward. All right. There's more to it when you get to longer walks. Hold on. There are times you have to correct, and I use the rule of opposites for correcting. And that actually is going to be February's February seminar, is using the rule of opposites to correct your dog while in the heel. All right. Any questions about targeted walking? It's a really simple concept, really powerful. And if you do it well, you're going to see a huge difference in your dog immediately. If you go back to what you were doing, your dog's going to go back to what they were doing. But if you continue to do that powerful targeted walking, you're going to see a difference immediately in your dog. All right. No questions on that? Okay. The last one is the outside turn. And this is one of my favorite things to teach. So I teach my dog to move independent of me to the right when I say the word turn. And the way I teach it is with 3 simple exercises. So again, with my dog on a nice loose leash, I say, let's go. I'm not worried about heel. We're not moving in heel position. So Blitzer, let's go. I take a couple of steps, and then I put my left foot out, and I lure my dog right back in here. So my body posture is coming back in. My hand is in front of my right leg. So I don't want to lure my dog around this way. I want to bring her right in, because I want her to get that turn really close. So I'm walking along, I say turn, and then I lure her around. If you stop like this and start to lure and then say turn, you're too late. We want to get that behavior going before the lure and the signal starts. So just Blitzer, let's go, step, step, left foot out. Oh, let me do the turn. Okay, So step, step, turn, and bring the dog in and release the treat right there. Oh, somebody else is here. If you have a dog that doesn't like to get close to you, they have to get this treat. Your dog is not allowed, you're not allowed to treat your dog out here. Dog's got to come right in here to get that treat. You may have to kind of lure them and jiggle the treat around and bring them in. But we want that dog to make it, and we want the dog to make a nice tight turn around this leg. So the signal for this is the outstretched left foot. So every time I put my foot out, my dog will turn around it. So I can take this into the obedience ring. And when the judge says right turn, I do this. She starts to turn and I pivot and continue on. Don't tell the obedience judges because that's an extra signal. Actually, I've used it before when last time she got her first CDX leg, there was this one corner where I knew she wasn't going to turn. So as we were doing our heel exercise, I went turn when he said about turn, and we continued on. Don't know if you heard it or not. I don't know, but I was willing to take those points. But I knew as soon as I said turn, she was going to forget all the smells and everything in that corner and come around my leg. All right, and hopefully there are no obedience judges watching because I may do that again. I don't want them to think when I go in the ring, I'm automatically going to give double commands, but that was just a time. We NQ'd the day before. Part of the problem was that corner. So, all right, so that's the first exercise. Blitzer, let's go. Turn, foot comes out, and I lure right in. So I'll do it like turn, and it just comes right in. My body posture goes back. Second exercise in the series is. Let me ask you something. If you don't know the answer to. Oh, is somebody unmuted? Hi, can you mute? Yeah, well. The possibility of a no-win scenario. Tina? Thanks. Okay. Oh, Tina?
Yes.
You need to mute. Thank you. Okay. So this time I'm going to walk forward. I'm going to say turn, and I'm going to lure, but I'm going to lure past me. Boom. So she's turning without me moving my feet. So I don't have to, I can stand still. It also works as a trick. I can have her in heel position and I can say turn, 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 and she'll keep turning around me. Because I taught her to move independently of me, which you kind of have to do on that outside turn because the dog is doing a lot more walking than you are. So again, let's go, turn, and so this time I'm facing 90 degrees this way, and I bring her past and I give her the treat back here. I want to reward her for passing me up, and I give her the treat right there. The next exercise is just kind of removing the lure. Hold on. Okay, so Blitzer, let's go. Turn, boom, and then I reward her as we're moving forward. I always, after I do the turn, I speed up a little because I've slowed down. I've come to an almost stop. And remember, I was talking about body language. If I'm just kind of like slow, she's going to turn to look at me. She's going to wonder what's going on. So I want her to move quickly out of that turn, and I'm going to help her. The treat comes after we're walking normally again in this direction. So Blitzer, let's go. Turn, good girl, reward. Okay? And then you move that treat further and further away as you continue with that exercise. All right. That is it. Let me see, there's somebody in chat. Oh, okay, so Tina, with the first two exercises that I did, I'm not moving my body. The dog is turning independently around me. She's not turning because I'm turning. She's turning independently around me. So yeah, so you want to stay still. Okay, any other questions before we go? Comments? Confusions? Critiques? Anything? No, you can talk. You can talk if you want. Clan? I don't understand what you mean, Kathleen. Kathleen, go ahead and put your, if you want to explain that, go ahead and put your microphone on.
Sorry about that. I was trying to type, can you go over the pivot left?
The pivot
The
left.
pivot left.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. Jen wants to know if I can show you with my dog. Yeah, I'll get her out in just a second. Okay,
Thank
so the pivot left. All right, go ahead and mute. All right. So when I turn left, I literally step into the dog. Well, let me go this way so you can see. So I literally like step into the dog. And I actually teach a back command, but I wasn't going to go into this one because number one, it's not really with a lure. Like most people don't lure that. And number two, there's like a whole lot to get to that back, but I do a back command. Sometimes I just say back, sometimes I swipe my hand back, but I expect my dog's rear end to move around as I come around on that one. So that's why I didn't cover it in this.
Okay, no worries. I had been doing the same thing, using that hand sweep and tying my dog back. My corgi doesn't really quite get it. And I didn't know if you'd call that a lure or not, which is why I asked the question here.
No, okay, so I don't call that a lure, but I can tell you after watching a lot of people in the ring that you probably have not taught your dog what back means. So for me, back means you have to swing your back legs around. And so I see a lot of people get in the ring and use a back and use that signal, but their dogs just move their front legs around, so it's not really a back. But let me go get Flitzer. And I'll show you some of these with her. Be right back. Hey, Fritz. Come on. She doesn't know she's on camera yet. Come here. Come here. I know. She was eating dinner in her crate. All right. So let's see. Let me show you the first one. Good girl. So let's go. Turn. Come on, let's do it. Let's back up. Get in. Good girl. Let's go. Turn. Woo! The floor is a little slippery for her. So that's the first exercise. The second exercise, get in. Good girl. Let's go. Turn. Good job. Get in. Good. And the third exercise, what's your heel? Turn. Good girl. Good girl. Good. Good. Here, let's see. Come here. Get in. All right, put your turn. 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 Good girl. I still have her on the leash now. I'm caught. Okay. Good girl. What else would you like to see with Flitz? Oh, okay. So let me show you. This is good with her because she's so small. So Flitzer, sit down. Good girl. See, I took the treat away. Down. Good girl. Because you can't get up to get the treat. Come on, Flitz. Down. Good girl. Good girl. Yay. All right. Does that answer your question? All right. Any other questions? No? That's it? That was a short one. All right. So feel free to send me videos. I love to look at people's videos, ask for critiques. But if you ask me for a critique, I really give a critique. Like, I think it's important to know what you're doing wrong, not necessarily what you're doing right, because then you can fix what you're doing wrong or come up with some ideas to fix what it is that you're doing. Oh, let me show you the back with her. Come here. Get in. Good girl. What's her knee? Back. Good. Back. Good. Back. Good girl. Okay. So her back end is moving around while the front end stays in place. Let's see. Oh, okay. Let me see. Okay, let me go with the first one here. How do you transition from the down in front to the down beside you? It's simple. I mean, just get in. Good girl. Heel. Good girl. Where are you going? We're not going back. Down. Good. Oh, okay, sorry. So I'm luring her right now, but let me get this out of the way. But she can do it without that. I just bring my hand way over. Get in. Good girl. Let's go. Good girl. Good. She's smart and anticipates. Down. Good girl. Okay, so again, I'm putting my hand where I want her shoulders to go down. I don't want her to move forward. I don't want her to move back. Get in. Good girl. Down. And that keeps her in a nice heel position. Good girl. All right, what was the next one? Let's see. Oh, thank you. She's when she works, she's very nice, Melanie. We did our first master's run. So I was gone from her for 2 years and came back, and we got her first CD leg and with hardly any training. And I was like, oh, this is really good. She knows what she's doing. She remembered it all. And then we went to go do masters, which I hadn't worked with her except for a few days before. The problem was, I love it when she barks when we're doing tricks because it's very entertaining. And so the first thing we did was like a spin, and she started barking, and she barked the whole time. She's too smart for her own good, I think. All right, so 180-degree sit to left. Okay, so sit and then turn 180, turn 180. Is that what you want, Robin? So not a pivot, but a turn to the left. Okay, get in. 180. That's the way. Okay. All right, heel. Back. Good girl. Was that it? Or, oh no, we have to sit. You want me to sit? Okay, come on.
Okay, I need to find the sign number, but it's sit your dog, pivot to the left 180 and sit your dog.
Oh, okay, okay. Let's get in. Good girl. Heel. So sit. Back. Oh. Okay. So she's anticipating. She's just really excited. Get in. Let's try this one again. Come on. Good girl. Yeah. Good girl. Back. Yeah. Now I suppose, because you're doing a turn, not a pivot. Oh, you want to pivot to the left?
But
I just put you on
I'm on mute.
No,
it's okay. It's a sign that it's actually, believe it or not, an advanced sign.
Okay.
But I think it's a very difficult sign. It's sit your dog, pivot to the left 180-degree, sit your dog.
Okay.
And it's hard for me in which Marina's watching this, she's trying to help me make this very clean and sharp. And I am working on it. So I just kind of wanted to watch your demonstration so I could continue to excel on this exercise.
Okay, so sit, pivot 180 degrees to the left, sit.
Yes.
Okay, get in. Go ahead and mute your microphone. So there we go. Get in. Good girl. Heel. So we're gonna sit. When I pivot back. Heel. So when I pivot, I do kind of a military pivot. Here, this is. So if I'm pivoting 180, I come around like that. Okay. If I'm pivoting 90, I just go like that. Or step behind and back. So let's do it this way, Flitzer. Get in. So you're making me think now, and now I'm confused. All right. Seriously, you're making me think. All right, back. Good, okay. All right. So I do my pivots a little differently than most people do them. And it's just kind of a modified military pivot. And you bring your foot back, the foot in the direction that you're pivoting, you bring that back behind the other foot. And then you just step around. Okay?
Thank you, Holly.
You're welcome. All right, anything else before we go? All right, so like I said, feel free to share your videos, and I'll be happy to help you all I want. Definitely go to my YouTube. I guess I'll send it out in an email. Hold on. No, I'm gonna wait. I was gonna post it here, but I'd have to look for it. And so yeah, so subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have a website that I'm working on. Eventually I'll have that up. I'll have my articles from my Mastering Rally column and Front and Finish and other things on the blog. And also with the YouTube channel, before I left for Ukraine, I did most of the signs, regular speed, and then slow motion and regular speed. But I didn't finish them all, and I don't know where all of the other all of the other videos went. I have a different computer, and I'm not sure what I did with them. So I'm going to start next week in redoing those videos so that I will have demonstrations of all the videos for all the signs in AKC. All right. Well, you're welcome, Marina. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you guys, because I really love doing this. We can't get together and really train for a while, so this has been a lot of fun. Also, it's gotten me back working with my dog after 2 years because we were just separated. So, all right. Thank you. Thank you, Linda. Okay. All right. Well, we will see you on the rally lists and hopefully on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much. You guys have a good evening and good luck in the ring. You're welcome. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. And remember next month is rule of opposites. So it's a fun one. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.